This is going to be both a review of the Meze 105 AER and also a case study that attempts to answer the question, is there any advantage in using audiophile headphones for gaming, especially if you're not an audiophile? So at $399 US, the 105 AER is starting to venture into audiophile territory, which got me thinking. There's obviously an advantage in using good quality audio equipment for gaming. Positional audio, detail, and soundstage tend to be superior. But what about hi-fi equipment? Are there any genuine advantages in using something like the 105 AER over a gaming headset or other good but less expensive headphones? As I've said many times before, I'm not an audiophile. I know more than the average person about audio gear, but not enough that I don't need to Google what terms like timbre means.
Timbre.
I should also mention, if it wasn't already obvious, that being a gaming channel, the focus of this review will be on how the 105 AER performs when playing games. I did do a substantial amount of music testing, of course, probably way more than was necessary, and I'll give you my thoughts on its performance in that area too. But if you want a thorough audio review from a certified audiophile, I've stuck a link to Joshua Valler's review in the description, where he uses all kinds of words that I need to Google. Aer in Romanian means air, and Meze described the 105 as their invitation to let the air in and experience the multi-dimensional depth of music. And yeah, this sense of space and dimension really does come across when listening to them. It's a low impedance headphone, so you don't need an amp to drive it, and it'll work just fine off a phone or a wireless controller. The frequency range is 5Hz to 30 kHz, which is not super wide compared to other hi-fi headphones, but much wider than the 20Hz to 20 kHz that's common with most gaming headsets. The 105, like other Meze products, is beautifully crafted and it feels incredibly well built. Just about every component is replaceable too, and it comes across as something that you'll have in your collection for many years to come. It doesn't just look good, it's extremely comfortable. It's up there as one of the most comfortable headphones/headsets I've ever used. It comes with a hard carry case, which is a pretty snug fit, but should protect it if you're packing it into a backpack or a suitcase. Inside there's a soft case for the cable, and you get a 6.3mm adapter too. The 105 AER has been tuned to be versatile, meaning it should sound great for all types of genres. It has a V-shaped tuning, or a fun sound to use layman's terms, so both the low end and trebles stand out. As far as this type of headphone goes, I think they have a very accessible sound to people outside of the audio hobby. In other words, you don't need to be an audio enthusiast to enjoy them. The soundstage is what impressed me the most, giving you not only an exceptional sense of space, but an exquisite balance. Everything blends really well together and it just sounds, well, yeah, balanced. I started playing Pacific Drive recently, and I think this may have been the perfect choice because the tuning is a great fit for this type of game. I also had to try out a few horror games because a wide-sounding headphone can make for a very immersive and terrifying experience. I think this might just be the best use case for the 105 AER. The detail and richness of its sound is a fantastic way of losing yourself in whatever terrifying shit you enjoy the most. Positional audio is another strong point. Not only can you pick out individual sounds and where they are in space, but the clarity is really impressive. If you play games where hearing other players is important, these work really well for that. Bass is definitely there when you need it. So for things like explosions and bass-heavy music, they really come alive. I've heard some people say that the bass in some situations is too forward, but this has not been my experience, and I'm not a bass fiend either. The mid-range is slightly recessed, which means that vocals are a bit quieter than I'd like. It's not a huge deal for most of the music I listen to, but in some games it can be a fraction harder to hear dialogue. This is especially true when it's from a source that's in the distance, like in The Last of Us when NPCs not in your line of sight are talking. This is 100% a nitpick though, and I'd say that most non-audiophiles won't be able to tell. And thankfully, it didn't seem to impact party chat. The other call out I'd like to make is that they're slightly bright. I wouldn't describe them as shrill or sibilant, but your mileage will vary, and it is something that could come into play for extended sessions. I didn't find this to be true in my own testing, but I did want to point this out. Mid-range performance aside, I think they work well for all types of games, and I found them equally impressive for music. Obviously, being an open back, you'll want to use them in a quiet environment to get the most out of them, and this does mean that they're not an ideal solution for commuting or taking to work. Although the 105 wasn't designed specifically with gaming in mind, the fact that it's incredibly comfortable makes it perfectly suited for long hours in front of the screen. At only 336 grams, it's pretty light, and clamping pressure and irritation from the headband is almost non-existent. The headband design is super flexible and doesn't need to be adjusted either. You just drop them on your melon and they position exactly where you need them to. The ear cups are quite deep, measuring just shy of 30mm. They're made from something called PC-ABS, which is more resistant to heat than some other materials. They can still heat up, of course, this isn't some kind of miracle tech, but in general I found heat to be very manageable. On the outside they're wrapped in velour, and this combination of materials remained comfortable over long sessions, even over my glasses. Like most headphones, the ear cups don't swivel 180 degrees, although the shape of the ear cups makes this less of an issue. They are reasonably big, which means they might sit quite high, but for brief moments where you need to wear them around your neck, I don't think the lack of swivel matters. The cable is the only thing that doesn't feel as premium as the rest of the headphone. It's quite thin, and although it has a Kevlar sheath, it comes across as a bit of an afterthought. It is very light though, and at 1.8 meters long it gives you plenty of length. It can be removed as well, so if you want to swap it out for one of Meze's premium cables, that's an option. Being a headphone, it doesn't come with a boom arm microphone, but it does have a basic mic on the cable. If you want something a bit more serious, Meze do sell an optional boom mic that attaches to this headphone or any other dual entry headphone. They sent this out to me along with the 105 for testing, and I'll have a separate video on this coming up on the channel soon. So yeah, you definitely can use audiophile headphones for gaming, and something like the 105 AER has some obvious advantages. However, if you don't have much or any experience with hi-fi audio equipment, it may be difficult for you to understand the difference between this and something that costs half as much. So you certainly don't need an audiophile headphone for a great experience, unless of course you're an audiophile. I was sent this pair to test and review over a period of about 3 weeks, and it honestly took me about a week of solid listening and comparisons with other headphones and IEMs in my collection to get a clear picture of how they were better and in what ways. Once I did, it was evident how good they were and how much I enjoyed using them for gaming. So yeah, I think the Meze 105 AER is an excellent choice for a premium gaming audio experience and something that sounds equally good for music. If you like a wide soundstage and a warm sound, these deliver both equally.